Hello, this is Edgin Montiel, and this video is for UCCS's 1503 Introduction to Engineering Design with Dr. Foley. This video is to go over the Sketch Relations Lab assignment that he has for his class. I have the assignment pulled up here. Um, this is just a description of the assignment with the link. This is a really good link to check out just to give you guys some exposure to this content. But ultimately, we're going to talk about how we can define a drawing in SolidWorks. There's two ways we can use the dimensioning, which you can see in this picture below here, is that they have the various dimensions set for the arc, for the diameter of this little circle, and the height of this figure itself, as well as this angle here. But there's also something that you can't see going on in this picture, but there is sketch relations happening. And when you make sketch relations, it makes it to where if you were to ever change any of the dimensions on this figure, that certain things would not change, that they would stay in the particular relation that you assign to it in SolidWorks, which could be really helpful. It's like if you have a part that you design with complex geometry, and then all of a sudden you need to change the overall size of it, and you want everything to scale up accordingly. So if you make all your sketch relations while you're designing your part in SolidWorks, changing the overall size of it could potentially make it to where everything scales up accordingly as well. But some of the sketch relations we're going to look at today are the ones that are called concentric, tangent, parallel, horizontal, and coincident. So we're going to pretend like we're making a part in SolidWorks, but really what we're going to do is just get to a drawing so that we can apply these sketch relations and try to understand them better and why they're important in SolidWorks. So I'm going to start by going to new, and I'm just going to make a new part. And what we're doing is we're going to do a sketch. So I'm just going to click on the sketch tab here, and we're going to try to draw the image that's in Dr. Foley's assignment here, and to fully define it with only using these 4 dimensions and then these required sketch relations for the assignment. So I'm on the sketch tab. I'm going to click my line tool. Then SolidWorks, as always, wants me to start defining where I'm going. It wants to know where I'm trying to draw this in 3D space. So just from force of habit, it's good to pick the front plane. Almost all the instructions always say to do it from the front plane. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drawing a line at the origin here. So again, this little red arrow going up and to the right here could be thought of as the origin on like an X and Y plane. So when I pick here, it's actually 0x, 0y. But most importantly, SolidWorks understands where this is in 3D space. So we already picked that front plane, so we know we're in this plane that constrained us in 1 degree of freedom. And now when I pick this origin, it knows where I am on an X and Y coordinate system as well. So it's actually constraining us in all 3 planes or 3 degrees of freedom here. So when I click that one, I know you can't see it, but behind my pencil here, there's a little yellow graphic of a horizontal bar. And that's because I'm locked into the x-axis here. When you're drawing lines in SolidWorks, it will automatically try to lock into place when you get close to one of the axes, just to make sure that that line's nice and straight for you, as well as making the sketch relation. So when I'm locked into the horizontal axis like that, it makes a sketch relation automatic for me called horizontal. So as I'm drawing my line here, I'm going to left click to make my line stick into place. And I can see 2 sketch relations already appeared. And when I say sketch relations, that's these little green images that appear on my drawing. So this one right here, I've already talked about quite a bit. It's the horizontal sketch relation. That's just saying this line that I drew here coincides with the x-axis and that they're both horizontal here completely. And then the next one is this little one here in the corner at the x-axis. This one is showing that it is coincident with the origin. So that SolidWorks understands that this line is not only horizontal with the x-axis, but that it's touching or coincident with the origin. So now I want to continue drawing my line. So I'm going to come back to this corner right here, and I'm going to click there and just draw some arbitrary angled line going that direction. Then I'm going to hit my escape button to get out of my line tool, but then I have to click on my line tool again to get back into my line tool. And then I'm going to draw the other line that starts at the origin again, and it comes this way. So as I'm drawing, SolidWorks starts populating these little yellow lines everywhere because it's trying to make additional sketch relations. So there I can see a little blue line appeared because that is a line that's dropping down that would be perpendicular to that line to the left here. And it just identifies all the different sketch relations along the way as I'm moving in 3D space. So if I were actually to hover over this line for just a moment, because I'm hovering over that line, it's showing me the yellow lines that are parallel and perpendicular to this one. And I actually want to draw this line that I'm drawing right now parallel to this line, because that's a sketch relation that's required for this assignment. So when doing so, it makes my yellow line appear here, and then I can come over to the yellow line so that I know that this one's already going to be parallel, which is something that I want. But while I'm drawing this parallel line, I have to be careful not to make any additional sketch relations that I don't want. So SolidWorks trying to be helpful can sometimes be not helpful in doing something that I don't want it to do. So I just need to be aware that when these other blue lines appear, like it is right now, that's making a sketch relation that would keep these two tied perpendicular like that. As you can see, a line that would drop between them would be perpendicular. So I'm going to go just a little bit above that because that's actually not a sketch relation we want in this sketch. But I do want it to be parallel, so I'm going to stay on that yellow dotted line. And then when I click, it draws that line. So now I'm going to hit escape because when we look at the assignment here, it's really just one straight line here, here, and here. And now I have like an arc and a circle. So we're going to go back to SolidWorks, and I'm going to go to this fancy button here, which is a center point arc, but I don't really want a center point one. So I'm going to hit the little right arrow to it. And then I can come to this one that says tangent arc, which is going to work better for me. Because when I draw it from this point, I can go to this arc motion to make it come this way to follow my line to be able to draw it in SolidWorks. So that's how it would go if it went well. So I'm going to hit escape to undo that, to get out of the arc tool before I actually draw it. So that way I can go into the arc tool and show you again an example as if I drew it wrong. So if I click on this point and I come down in the wrong direction, it starts trying to draw the arc in the other orientation. So that could be kind of tricky to undo sometimes. It actually did it really nice for me there. So just make sure you're aware that if you ever start messing up and you're not sure how to fix the orientation of what you're doing here, you can always just hit escape to get out of that tool on your keyboard. And then you can just go and click on the tool again to be able to get back into it so you could try again. So the goal is to click on this point up here of that line and to draw an arc over to the other line. And it, again, arbitrary size and dimensioning here, because we're going to get to the dimensioning at the end of this assignment. But the most important thing that we just did here is we got a new sketch relation. And this little circle with the line on it is just showing that this line here is tangent with this arc, which is one of the sketch relations we do want for this assignment. So as you can see, we already got a bunch of little green dots on our thing. Just a reminder, we have the coincident, horizontal, parallel sketch relations, and now the tangent sketch relation. I just finished drawing my arc, and we're done drawing the arc, so I hit my check mark to get out of that tool. Now the last thing we have to draw is the circle, so I'm going to click on my circle tool, and I like just the regular circle tool. And I can already see the center point of the arc here. So I'm going to click on that same center point and draw a little circle coming out. Doesn't matter how big it is because we'll use the dimension tool to fix everything later. So I click it at some arbitrary size, and now I'm done with my circle tool, so I hit my check mark. And now we're ready to finish making the sketch relations. So because of the way I drew it, the intelligent way that I drew it, I was able to make some of the sketch relations while I was making my drawing, which saves me some time in the big picture of things. And time is money, so we always want to draw as smart as we can and do as little processes or as many steps as we can, or as little as steps as we can. So now I want to make a sketch relation tangent on this side as well. So to do so, I have to make a relation between this line that I drew and this arc that I drew. So while holding shift on my keyboard, I'm going to click this line, and then I'm also going to click this arc. Now over here to the left, I have this properties in my property manager window that appeared here. And under selected entities, SolidWorks actually picked three things. So it picked arc 1, which is one of the things I want. It picked arc 2, which is this actually the center circle. And then it picked line 3, which is the line I want. So I'm going to right click on arc 2 and go to delete, because that's one that I do not actually want for this relation. Because I'm trying to build a relation between this arc and this line here. And as I click on them, you can see that they get darker blue over here in my image, so I know which one I'm referring to as I click on it. But we want to make these tangent just like this other side. And now watch the image as I click the button tangent, because it's going to change shape a little bit because it's actually making that line tangent with this circle. And these sketch relations are important because now as we change any other dimensions on this, it's always going to keep this line tangent with this arc. And depending on what dimensions you're changing or how complex your figures can get, that could be very important to you because you don't want things moving around or getting funky. If they weren't, like if you were to change the dimension of this, it's going to force these lines along the way instead of it getting all weird angles or not tangent at that point. So then similarly, I'm going to hold down my shift button and I'm going to hit this perimeter of this circle and then the perimeter of my arc here. When I do select these things, I have to be careful not to actually select the center points on them because we can make a sketch relation to center points as well. But I'm trying to make a sketch relation between this circle, which I already clicked on, and this arc, which I'm going to click on now. Then I can let go of shift. And I can see over here on my selected entities that I have my two arcs. Again, I can confirm that it's them by clicking on them. And now I want to make those a sketch relation called concentric. And that just means that they're sharing an origin. So no matter what, they're kind of pinned together now. So now I have my coincident sketch relation, horizontal sketch relation, parallel, concentric, and tangent, which are all of the required sketch relations for this assignment. So the only thing left to do is to dimension everything. So I click on my Smart Dimension tool, and then I like to work from the inside out. So the assignment has this one dimensioned as 5 millimeters. The arc is dimensioned at 7.5 millimeters. The height from the center of the circle to the bottom is 10.5 millimeters. And then this is the cool new one that we get to learn here is to do an angle. We want to do an angle between this and the x-axis. But the x-axis is also correlated with this line, and that's the one that actually exists in our picture. So we're going to click on our line here, left click it once, and then when we left click this other line once, being careful not to select any midpoints or any funny points on the line, it's going to give me my little angle tool. And I can angle it either on this side or over here is the way that Dr. Foley's assignment has it. So when I left click to stamp that, I can change that value to 55 degrees. And when I do, it changes my entire picture black because I am now fully defined. And I am fully defined because I have sketch relations and dimensions on my picture. And that is the completion for this assignment. So on your computers, you can on your keyboard, you can press and hold the Windows button, the Shift button, and the S button together. And that should let you get into the snip tool where you'll be able to draw a little box around this figure and then use the snip tool to save it as a JPEG, which is what you need to turn in for this part of that assignment. Thanks for watching.